and welcome to this week's episode. This week we are visiting a really amazing company based in Hartlepool, JDR Cables. Cables? Aren't those things that you just use to charge phones and stuff? Well, not exactly. JDR make cable systems that bring power and information over really long distances. I mean, imagine you've got a wind farm out to sea and it's generating lots of electricity. How do you get the electricity back to shore? Or you've got a huge broadband fibre connection that's in one country and you want to take it to another country. How do you do that? JDR design and build cable systems that make the modern world possible. They have to make incredibly strong products that can last for maybe more than 30 years in some of the most difficult and hostile environments in the whole world. Let's go and find out a little bit more about them by meeting some of their engineers. Hello, nice to meet you. What's your name?
Hi, Alex Hart.
Hi, I'm Siobhan.
My name is Safras.
And what's your job title?
I'm a graduate engineer.
I am an analysis engineer.
It means I've just graduated uni with my degree and I've came straight into a job. My role isn't just to know what I'm doing straight away. I'm sort of learning as I'm progressing throughout the job.
What will I see you doing on a daily basis?
Currently, I work in the analysis team and we analyse how our cables and umbilicals interact in the sea with currents and waves.
Basically analysing different aspects of the cable in different scenarios.
Someone will come up with a concept design of a cable or an umbilical, and I will need to take that and talk to the client or the person who's going to use the product, see what kind of scenario they're going to put it in. So maybe how deep water is it going in and what kind of current speeds and how high the waves are, and see if we can put that into a computer model to make sure that we can predict how the cable is going to move and how it might get damaged, and how we can design or optimize the design of the cable so that it can survive within this environment that it needs to, and so that we can reduce as much costs out of it as possible, so it's a good, solid, cost-effective solution.
Because these cables have got to last quite a long time, haven't they?
Exactly. We're talking 20 to 30 years at least. Some of the scenarios that we model are extremely onerous, so you might get a cable that's hanging from one point on a structure and then a whole free hanging length, and you have to look at the way the cable is moving and try and make it robust enough so that it can withstand that and survive it for 20 years.
Like having a crystal ball.
It is like predicting the future. I think that's probably the best thing about my job, is like being able to predict what will happen in a scenario, but without even going to that location.
We'll be using a wide range of different softwares to do different parts.
So day to day I'll be looking into sort of data provided by clients and using that data to sort of model scenarios and see how, like I said, our cables and umbilicals interact.
Interact with each other, or just the general seabed and the things that are down there?
Interact with the environment, yeah.
Okay. You don't have to don a wetsuit and head down there yourself at any point?
No, that would be fun.
What do you think is probably the best bit about your job that you like?
I do enjoy the fact there's a range of things we get to do. You can model different scenarios and it's not always just the modelling, it's sort of you get to take a break and do some report writing, and then you can sort of balance it out.
The variation, so in one day I could be focusing on 3 or 4 different things, and then the next day I could be focusing on one specific thing that is the most important thing to get out of, depending on client requirements, client deadlines.
So what's really important when building a model is to make sure that you build a model that's really accurate. So you've got to go out to clients or to the scenario or the people who are in the scenario and ask them lots of questions and make sure you get the right data so the model you build is going to be accurate, so the motions that you're predicting are accurate. So it involves a lot of emailing people and going to meetings and visiting clients and trying to talk to them about what they want the cables to do and what the cables can do, and trying to balance that out and designing a solution that works.
And also it's looking into problems and being able to solve them problems.
So a lot of it is desk based essentially. You are data analysing you're not on site so much. They tend to send stuff on sites to you.
Yeah, currently, but in our graduate position, we get to rotate around different departments. So I'll be in sort of design engineering and product development. Within product development, I'll be able to go to the factory sites and get to see tests happening.
Right. So you can see that as a career progression. There's more options, and you're getting tasters of things that you might want to do more of when you're more progressed.
Yeah, exactly.
And also having real responsibility for that piece of work and just making a difference to the company as the whole is what I like, what I enjoy.
So what skills do you think you probably need most in your role?
Being able to problem solve, being creative, critical thinking, mathematical and numerical skills is an important one as a mechanical biased engineer.
Finding a solution, problem solving and finding that solution is really fulfilling. Just being able to overcome that challenge, whatever it is, and bring up your knowledge and model the whole scenario and identifying something that works is really, really good.
Also, you need to use critical thinking to focus on what you're doing. You need to be able to communicate within your team, and you also need to be organised with sort of the different projects that you take on.
I think that the most critical thing is to be able to look at a really, really complex situation and be able to try and simplify it down when you're explaining it to someone so they know exactly what you're talking about. And it helps, I think, if you can simplify it down to something like a piece of string moving or something that they know about and can see, so they can understand really quickly and rapidly and know exactly what you're talking about, and so you can develop the solution really quickly together.
So it's a lot of communication skills, really.
Definitely.
Being able to articulate your thoughts and opinions as well, and being persuasive sometimes in your opinions.
Yeah, winning the argument. I've found this out, you need to listen.
Exactly, yeah.
What led you into this role?
I've always had an interest in engineering. I had many role models within my family who pushed in an engineering background in the past, so I've been led into this type of job.
I suppose it just really started in school, sort of enjoying and doing well in STEM subjects, mainly sort of in maths in primary school, and then going up into secondary sciences and physics and engineering, and I eventually just kept progressing into taking sort of them engineering and STEM based subjects, and then through college and university, and just ended up where I was.
So in terms of designing, I joined JDR after being a graduate engineer, after doing mechanical engineering at uni, and I really enjoyed destroying things. So I really enjoyed testing the limits of our products, supervising tests and designing creative tests to see how much our products could take and when they would break. And then being able to transition into analysis means I can predict exactly how they'll break. By using that test data, we can incorporate that into the cable knowledge that we already have, and it's more accurately predicting, and then we don't actually have to test all our products because we know how they're going to perform, which is really, really cool.
What have you been doing with this today? We're trying to make a bridge for Indonesia because the tsunamis wiped their whole bridge out, so we didn't. They don't have any bridges to get across from place to place. So we've came up with ideas to use to make bridges for them to get across in cars and things.
To make them a bit more stronger and stuff.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Did you know that engineering could be used in so many different ways before you came to this?
Yeah.
You already had a bit of an idea. Has it inspired you to get more into science and engineering like me?
Yeah.
What's been your favourite thing that you've enjoyed the most?
Always building the bridge.
Building the bridge.
Hi, relax. We just want to ask you a few questions and find out what happens in an engineer's mind.
Cool.
Coca-Cola or Pepsi?
Ooh, challenging question. I think Coca-Cola.
Yeah. We've got some. It's just some.
Have you?
Yeah.
Do you both like Coca-Cola better?
Yeah. What's your
Awesome.
favourite film?
Ooh, actually, I like a really odd one. It's called The Men Who Stare at Goats. But I also really like superhero movies, people who can change things with their minds or flying. That's really cool.
Why did you end up as an engineer?
Okay, so when I was at school, I really liked hearing about ancient Egypt and ancient Greece and things like that, because they had structures that are still around today. So they've lasted like hundreds of years. And I was really impressed at like how they built them. So when I finished school, I actually went traveling to go and visit some of these places, which was really awesome. And then I picked to go and do engineering at university. So that's pretty much where I got to before I joined JDR. And then I was working in design to work out what products work and how they're designed and made and tested. And then I got put in charge of doing some testing, so I got to break stuff and figure out how they worked and find where their limits were. And that was really, really cool. But then I thought, okay, well, I probably should figure out if I could predict how they're going to break before I actually go and break them. So that's what got me into doing analysis engineering.
What do you like doing on the weekend?
At the moment, I really like relaxing. So I watch TV and I go for a cycle ride, and that's pretty much it at the moment. When the lockdown's not happening, I really, really enjoy going out to see friends and traveling. So I've gone to London and Manchester and traveling around the country and seeing different ancient structures.
What would scare you the most? Being attacked by a zombie or a large spider?
How large is the spider? Are we talking about Harry Potter size?
Yes.
Yeah, I think the spider. Definitely the spider. They move far too fast. And being a giant one, that would be scary.
Where's the best place you've ever visited?
I think Tokyo. I really enjoy going to Japan, and seeing Tokyo was really, really fun.
What book would you recommend to a 10-year-old?
Harry Potter, definitely. No question.
Yes. I'm reading Harry Potter at the moment.
Are you really? How far through are you?
I'm on the 5th book.
Oh, that's a good one. Very good one.
What's your favourite lesson at school and why when you went to school?
Ooh, I like doing sciencey stuff because I like testing things out and seeing what broke.
What is the best bit about your job?
I think one of the best bits is problem solving. So you know that feeling when you solve a puzzle or you're facing a challenge maybe in a game and you have to change or adapt your approach to try and figure out how to solve the problem or defeat the enemy or something. When you find a solution to a problem, it's really satisfying.
If you could go back to your 10-year-old self and give them any bit of advice, what would it be?
I think it would probably be to try everything. You're not going to know what you're good at or what you like doing unless you try different things. Even if you're a little bit nervous about it or scared or apprehensive because you've not tried it before, go out and put yourself out there and try and do lots of different things so you can figure out what you really like.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, guys.
Wow, who knew cables were so interesting? I mean, yes, it might sound a little bit dull, but without the sort of quality systems that JDR create, you'd have a very different looking world. I mean, you wouldn't be watching this for a start, whether you like that idea or not, but you wouldn't be able to play on an Xbox or even text your friends. And they work all over the world creating their products from their northeast base. The engineering involved to make sure their products don't just break after a few days is amazing. I mean, you think for more than 30 years, that cable might have to stay at the bottom of the ocean without breaking, without any problem happening to it. You can see how enthusiastic their engineers were about what they do. So next time you plug your phone in, just maybe think about the engineering involved that took the power of the wind out at sea somewhere and brought it all the way back into your house. Anyway, until next time when we meet some more amazing Northeast engineers, see you later.